Are you still getting static at that end, Elizabeth? I heard a little bit just a minute ago, but I haven't heard any since. John, are you getting static? Okay, well, how's everybody doing out there? Ganga, how's life in Florida? I see her here. I see Lito. Oh, can you not hear John? I don't think I'm muted. I'm hearing myself nice and loud.
No, you're not muted.
Okay.
It says that there's sound going through.
Okay, good.
It shows that there should be sound going through.
Okay. Well, then we will see anything. Good. I see Elizabeth. Good. I see Ganga's image. I see Lito and Dottie, which is grand. And it's a hard habit to break here. When I come and sit down for the reading, I think, oh, and I can see Davy Brown. It's like, ah, no. Oh, Ganga said she can't hear on her end either. John, it doesn't look like you can hear either. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. Tried going out, back in. It didn't help. Okay. Well, y'all can hear me in the auditorium, right? Oh, yeah. Okay, we seem to have some problem with some of our Zoom audience here. Temple must reset, John says. Well, it's a big building to reset. We're not going to move it. It's been here a while, since 1956. And I was alive for that. Okay. Anything coming through? No. Okay, well, I am just going to start reading this Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna here. We are, let me just see where we are in this. The chapter is the Master's Reminiscences, and I'm looking for the date. April 12th, 1885. So April in Kolkata will be unbearably hot. This is about a year before he dies. So let's see what happens. Trilokya sang, "Oh, what a vision I've beheld in Keshamparati's hut, Gora, that's Sri Chaitanya, in all his matchless grace, shedding tears in 1,000 streams. Like a mad elephant, he dances in ecstasy and sings, drunk with an overwhelming love. Rolling flat on the ground and swimming in his tears, he weeps and shouts Lord Hari's name, piercing the very heavens with his cries, loud as a lion's roar. Then most humbly he begs man's love to feel himself the servant of God. Shorn of his locks, he's put on the yogi's ochre robe. Even the hardest hearts must melt to see his pure and heavenly love, smitten with man's deep woe. He has abandoned everything and pours out love unstintingly. Oh, would that Prem Das were his slave and passing from door to door might sing Gauranga's endless praise." Okay, in the land of Zoom out there, can you hear me yet? Sunanda, thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs down. Okay. Two thumbs down from John. So,
I don't know what to tell you. Listen, you heard me playing you speaking on YouTube, so it's transmitting sound. I've tried everything to turn it on.
oh, wait, is this static? Oh, they're going static. Okay.
It's working on YouTube.
Okay, if y'all can go to YouTube, that seems to be working. I don't know how to do that. But, yeah. Well, I'm sorry, I don't know what's causing the problems. Lito, Zoom audio bad, YouTube okay. Okay. It might be a problem specifically with Zoom. Who knows? Maybe they're having problems with the transmission here. Who knows? Maybe all the fires down there screwed things up. Okay. I will continue reading because there's nothing much I can do from this seat here. The music was over. It was about dusk. Sri Ramakrishna was surrounded by the devotees. Thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth has put over a link so everyone can go on YouTube. Master to Ram. There were no instruments to accompany the songs. The singing creates an atmosphere when there's proper accompaniment. Smiling. Do you know how Balaram manages a festival? He's like a miserly Brahmin racing a cow. The cow must eat very little but give milk in torrents. All laugh. Sing your own songs and beat your own drums. That is Balaram's idea. All laugh. Okay. And as evening came on, lamps were lighted in the drawing room on the veranda. Sri Ramakrishna bowed to the Divine Mother and began to chant the name of God. The devotees sat around and listened to his sweet chanting. They wanted to discuss with Trilokya his remarks about the Master's change of opinion on worldly life. Girish started the discussion. Girish, Trilokya. You have written that after coming in contact with Keshav, Sri Ramakrishna changed his views about worldly life. But it isn't true. Master Trilokya and the other devotees. If a person enjoys the bliss of God, they don't enjoy the world. Having tasted divine bliss, they find the world insipid. If a man gets a shawl, he doesn't care for broadcloth. Trilokya. I referred to those who wanted to lead a worldly life. I didn't mean renouncers. Master, what are you talking about? People talking about leading a religious life in the world. But if they once taste the bliss of God, they will not enjoy anything else. Their attachment to worldly duties declines. As their spiritual joy becomes deeper, they simply cannot perform their worldly duties. More and more they seek that joy. Can worldly pleasures and sex pleasures be compared to the bliss of God? If a man once tastes that bliss, he runs after it ever afterward. He runs after it ever afterwards. It matters very little to him whether the world remains or disappears. Though the chatak bird is about to die of a parched throat, and around it there are 7 oceans, rivers, and lakes overflowing with water, still it would not touch that water. Its throat is cracking with thirst, and still it will not drink that water. It looks up, mouth agape, for the rain to fall where the star Swati is in the ascendant. To the chatak bird, all waters are mere dryness besides the Swati water. People say they will hold to both God and the world. After drinking an ounce of a wine, a man may be pleasantly intoxicated and also conscious of the world. But can he be both when he has drunk a great deal more? Excuse me. After the bliss of God, nothing else tastes good. Then talk about lust and greed stabs the heart, as it were, intoning, I cannot enjoy the talk of worldly people. When a person becomes mad for God, they don't enjoy money or such things. Trilokya. But sir, if a man is to remain in the world, he needs money, and he almost also must save. He has to give in charity. And Master, what? Do you mean that one must first save money and then seek God? And you talk about charity and kindness. A worldly person spends thousands of rupees for his daughter's marriage, yet all the while their neighbors are dying of starvation, and he finds it hard to give them 2 morsels of rice. He calculates 1,000 times before giving them even that much. The people around him have nothing to eat, but what does he care about it? He says to himself, what can I do? Let the rascals live or die. All I care about is the members of my own family should live well. And they talk about doing good to others. Trilokya. But sir, there are good people in the world as well. Take the case of Pundaraka Vidyanidhi, the devotee of Chaitanya. He lived in the world. Master. He had drunk wine up to his neck. If he had drunk a little more, he couldn't have led a worldly life. Trilokya remained silent. M said aside to Girish, then what he has written is not true. Girish, Trilokya, then what you have written is not true. Trilokya, why so? Doesn't he, meaning Sri Ramakrishna, admit that a person can lead a spiritual life in the world? Master, yes, he can. But such a person should first of all attain knowledge and then live in the world. First they should realize God. Then they can swim in an ocean of slander and not be stained. After realizing God, a person can live in the world like a mudfish. In the world they live after attaining God. After realizing God, a man can live in the world like a mudfish. The world he lives in after attaining God is the world of Vidya, that's divine knowledge. The world, in it he sees neither lust nor greed. He finds there only devotion, devotee, and God. You see, I too have a wife and a few pots and pans in my room. I too feed a few vagabonds. I too worry about the devotees, Hobby's mother, for instance, when they come here. A devotee to Trilokya. I have read in your book that you do not believe in the incarnation of God. You said so in connection with Chaitanya. Trilokya. Why, Chaitanya himself protested against the idea of divine incarnation. Once, while in Puri, Advaita and the other devotees sang a song to the effect that Chaitanya was God. At this, Chaitanya shut the door of his room. Infinite are the glories of God, and he, meaning Sri Ramakrishna, says, the devotee is a parlor of God. Suppose a parlor is very well furnished. Does that mean the master of the house has exhausted all his power and splendor in that one parlor? Girish. He, meaning Sri Ramakrishna, says that prema alone is the essence of God. We need the man through whom this ecstatic love of God flows. He says that the milk of the cow flows through the udder. We need the udder. We do not care for the other parts of the cow, the legs, tail, or the horns. Trilokya. The milk of God's prema flows through an infinite number of channels. God has infinite powers. Girish. But what other powers can stand before prema? And that prema is ecstatic love of God. Trilokya. It is possible if he who has the power wants it. Everything is in God's power. Girish. Yes, I admit that. But there's also a thing called the power of vidya. That's the power of delusion, the power of ignorance. Trilokya. Is avidya a thing? Does there exist a substance called avidya? It's only a negation, as darkness is the negation of light. There is no doubt that we prize prema most. What is a drop to God is an ocean to us. But if you say that prema is the last word about God, then you limit God himself. Master, to Trilokya and the other devotees. Yes, that is true. But an ounce of wine makes me drunk. What need have I to count the gallons of wine in the tavern? What need have we to know about the infinite powers of God? Girish to Trilokya. Do you believe in the incarnation of God? Trilokya. God incarnates himself through his devotees alone. There cannot be a manifestation of infinite powers. It simply isn't possible. It is impossible for any man to manifest infinite powers. Girish. You can serve your children as Brahma Gopala. That's a name of God. Then why isn't it possible to worship a great soul as God? Master to Trilokya. Why all this bother about infinity? If I want to touch you, must I touch your entire body? If you want to bathe in the Ganges, must you touch the whole river from Hardwar to the ocean? All troubles come to an end when the ego dies. As long as a trace of I consciousness remains, one is conscious of difference. Nobody knows what remains after the I disappears. Nobody can express it in words. That which is remains. After the I disappears, one cannot say that a part manifests through this man and the rest through another. Satchidananda is the ocean. The pot of I is immersed in it. As long as the pot exists, the water seems to be divided into two parts. One part inside the pot and the other part outside it. But when the pot is broken, there is only one stretch of water. One cannot even say that. Who would say that? After the discussion, Sri Ramakrishna became engaged in pleasant conversation with Trilokya. Master, you are happy, isn't that so? Trilokya, but I shall become my old self again as soon as I leave this place. Here I very much feel the awakening of spiritual consciousness. Master, you don't have to be afraid of walking on thorns if you're wearing shoes. You needn't be afraid of lust and greed if you know that God alone is real and all else is illusory. It was about 9 o'clock in the evening. Balaram took Trilokya to another room and gave him refreshments. Sri Ramakrishna began to tell the devotees about Trilokya and people of his views. Master, to Girish, M, and other devotees. Do you know what these people are like? They're like a frog living in a well who has never seen the outside world. He only knows his own well, so he will not believe that there is such a thing as the world. Likewise, people talk so much about the world because they have not known the joy of God. To Girish, why do you argue with them so much? They busy themselves with both, the world and God. One cannot understand the joy of God unless one has tasted it. Can one explain sex pleasure to a 5-year-old boy? Worldly people talk about God only from hearsay. Children hearing their old aunts quarreling among themselves learn to say, "There is my God. I swear by God." But that doesn't matter. I don't blame such people. Can all comprehend the indivisible Satchidananda? Only 12 rishis could recognize Ramchandra. All cannot recognize an incarnation of God. Some take him for an ordinary man, some for a holy person, and only a few recognize him as an incarnation. One offers a price for an article according to one's capital. A rich man said to his servant, "Take this diamond to the market and let me know how different people price it. Take it first of all to the eggplant seller." The servant took the diamond to the eggplant seller. He examined it, turning it over in the palm of his hand, and said, "Brother, I can give 9 seers of eggplant for it." "Friend," said the servant, "a little more, say 10 seers." The eggplant seller replied, "No, I've already quoted above the market price. You may give it to me if that price suits you." The servant laughed. He went back to his master and said, "Sir, he would only give me 9 seers of eggplants and not one more." He said that he had offered more than the market price. The man smiled and said, "Now take it to the cloth dealer. The other man deals only in eggplants. What does he know about a diamond? The cloth dealer has a little more capital. Let us see how much he offers for it." The servant went to the cloth dealer and said, "Will you buy this? How much will you pay for it?" The merchant said, "Yes, it is a good thing. I can make a nice ornament out of it. I will give you 900 rupees for it." "Brother," said the servant, "offer a little more and I will sell it to you. Give me at least 1,000 rupees. The cloth dealer said, "Friend," page turner here, "Friend, friend, don't press me for more. I've offered more than the market price. I cannot give you a rupee more. Suit yourself." Laughing, the servant returned to his master and said, "He won't give me a rupee more than 900. He too said that he had quoted above the market price." The master said with a laugh, "Now take it to a jeweler. Let us see what he has to say." The servant went to a jeweler. The jeweler glanced at the diamond and said at once, "I will give you 100,000 rupees for it." They talk of practicing religion in the world. Suppose a man is shut up in a room. All the doors and windows are closed. Only a little light comes through the hole in the ceiling. Can he see the sun with the roof over his head? And what will he do with only one ray of light? Lust and greed is the roof. Can he see the sun unless he removes the roof? Worldly people are shut up in a room, as it were. The incarnations of God belong to the class of the Ishvara Kodis. They roam about in the open spaces. They are never imprisoned in the world, never entangled by it. Their ego is not the thick ego of worldly people. The ego, the I consciousness of worldly people is like 4 walls and a roof. The man inside them cannot see anything outside. The ego of an incarnation and other Ishvara Kodis is a thin ego. Through it they have uninterrupted vision of God. Take the case of a man who stands by the wall on both sides of which there are meadows stretching to infinity. If there is a hole in the wall, through it he can see everything on the other side. If the hole is a big one, he can even pass through it. The ego of the incarnations and the other Ishvara Kodis is like the wall with a hole. They can remain on this side of the wall, and they can see the endless meadow on the other side. That is to say, though they have a human body, they are always united with God. Again, if they will, they can pass through the big hole to the other side and remain in samadhi. And if the hole is big enough, they can go through it and come back again. That is to say, though established in samadhi, they can again descend to the worldly plane. The devotees listened breathlessly to these words about the mystery of the divine incarnation. And that is the end of that day. I don't see anybody here because I guess only Zoom will show you everything, but I hope we have still our online listeners. I hope you can all hear something. I know you all can hear something. Any idea, Durga, whether anything's coming through?
It is. It's fine on YouTube. It's Zoom. It's
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'm hoping you're all enjoying it on YouTube. Now we move to a different chapter. Chapter 40, The Master at the Houses of Balaram and Girish. Friday, April 24th, 1885. About 1 o'clock in the afternoon, M. arrived at Balaram's house in Calcutta and found the master asleep in the drawing room, one or two devotees resting near him. M. began to fan the master gently. A few minutes later, Sri Ramakrishna woke up and sat on the bed with his clothes in a rather untidy condition. M. saluted him and took the dust of his feet. Master tenderly to M. "Are you well? I'm feeling rather uneasy. I have a sore in my throat," and this is the beginning of the throat cancer, which later took his life. "I suffered very much during the early hours of the morning. Can you tell me how I may be cured?" In a worried tone. "They served pickled mango with the meal. I ate a little of it." "How is your wife? I noticed the other day she was looking rather sickly." "Give her soothing drinks and keep her nerves cool." M. Green coconut milk, sir? Master. Yes. A drink made of sugar candy is also good. M. Since last Sunday, I've been living at our house with my parents. Master, you have done well. It will be convenient for you to live at home. Since your parents live there, you won't have to worry so much about the family. While Sri Ramakrishna was talking, his mouth became dry. He said to M like a child, "I feel a dryness in my mouth. Do you all feel that way?" M to Jogan, "Is your mouth drying up?" Jogan, "No, perhaps it's due to the heat." Jogendra Aryadaha was an intimate disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, and later, after the passing away of the master, renounced the world. Sri Ramakrishna's clothes were still untidy. Some of the devotees smiled. Master, "I look like a mother nursing her babies." All laugh. "Well, my tongue is drying up. Shall I eat a pear or a jamrul?" A jamrul is kind of a juicy fruit. Balaram, "Let me get a jamrul for you." Master, "You don't have to go out in this sun." M was still fanning the master. Master, "You may stop now. You've been fanning a long time." M, "I'm not tired, sir." Master, tenderly, "No?" M taught in a school in the neighborhood. He had a little recess at 1 o'clock, during which he visited Sri Ramakrishna. It was time for him to go back to school. He saluted the master. Master to M, "Must you go now?" A devotee, "School is not over yet. He came here during recess." Master smiling. "He's like a mother with 7 or 8 children. Day and night she's busy with her worldly duties, but now and then she makes time to serve her husband." M's school closed at 4 o'clock. He came back to Balaram's house and found the master sitting in the drawing room. The devotees were arriving one by one. The younger Naran and Ram came. Narendra too was there. M saluted the master and took a seat. The lady sent a plant of halwa for Sri Ramakrishna. Because of the sore in his throat, he could not eat any hard food. Master to Narendra, "Ah, this is nice stuff. Eat some. It is good. Eat some." All laugh. Dusk was coming on. Sri Ramakrishna was about to go to the house of Girish, who had arranged a festival to celebrate the master's coming. The master came down from the second floor of Balaram's house with him and a few other devotees. Near the gate, he saw a beggar chanting the name of Rama, and he stood still. He fell into a meditative mood and remained standing a few minutes. He said to him, "He sings well." The devotee gave the beggar 4 pice. Sri Ramakrishna entered Bospara Lane. Laughing, he said to him, "What are all these people saying? There comes Paramahamsa's battalion. What these fools say?" All laugh. Sri Ramakrishna entered Girish's house. The latter had invited a large number of devotees to join the festival. Many of them were present. They all stood up to receive the master, who, smiling, took his seat. The devotees sat around him. Among them were Girish, Mahimacharan, Ram, and Bhavanat, also Babram, Narendra, Jogin, the younger Naran, Chuni, Balaram, M., and the other devotees who had accompanied the master from Balaram's house. Master to Mahimacharan, "I said to Girish about you, there is one very deep. You are only knee-deep. Now you must help me check up on what I said. I want to see you two argue, but don't compromise." All laugh. Girish and Mahimacharan started their discussion. Soon Ram said, "Let them stop. Let us have some kirtan." Master to Ram, No, this has a great deal of meaning. They are Englishmen. I want to hear what they say." Mahimacharan contended that all could become Krishna by means of sadhana. Girish said that Sri Krishna was an incarnation of God. However much a man practiced sadhana, he could never be an incarnation. Mahima, do you know what I mean? Let me give an illustration. The bell tree can become a mango tree only if the obstructions are removed. It can be done by the practice of yoga. Girish, you may say whatever you like, but it cannot be done either by the practice of yoga or anything else. Only a Krishna can become Krishna. If anyone has all the attributes of another person, Radha for instance, then he is none other than that person, Radha herself. If I see in a person all the attributes of Krishna, then I shall conclude that I'm seeing Krishna himself. Mahimacharan could not argue well. At last he had to accept Girish's views. Mahima to Girish. Yes, sir, both views are right. God has willed the path of knowledge, and he's also willed the path of bhakti. Pointing to Sri Ramakrishna. As he says, by different paths, people ultimately reach one and the same goal. Master aside to Mahima. You see, what I said was right, wasn't it? Mahima, yes, sir. As you say, both paths are right. Master pointed to Girish. Haven't you noticed how deep his faith is? He forgot to eat his refreshments. Like a dog, he would have torn your throat if you hadn't accepted his view. But we've enjoyed the discussion. You two have known each other, and I myself have learned, it's correct. Yes, you two have known each other, and I myself have learned many things. The musician arrived with his party and sat in the middle of the room. He was waiting for a sign from Sri Ramakrishna to begin the kirtan. The master gave his permission. Ram to the master. Please tell them what to sing. Master, what shall I suggest? After a little reflection, well, let them sing the prelude to the union of Radha and Krishna. The musician sang, My Gora, my treasure, the jewel among men, weeps as he chants Sri Radha's name, and rolls on the ground with fervent love and chants her name again and again. The tears stream from his love-filled eyes. Once more he rolls on the ground as, chanting her name, he faints away. The hair on his body stands on end. His tongue can lisp but a single word, says Basu. That's the author of the song. Why is Gora so restless? The kirtan continued. Radha had met Krishna on the bank of the Jamuna under the Kadamba tree. Her companions describe her physical and mental condition. 100 times each hour, in and out of the room she goes, restless, breathing hard. She looks toward the Kadamba grove. Is she afraid of the elders? Has she been possessed by a ghost? Filled with restlessness, she cannot keep her dress arranged. Her jewels have fallen off. She trembles now and then. Alas, she is so young. A princess born and a wife besides. What is it that she craves? We do not understand her mind, but we can guess. Her hand is reaching to catch the moon. Humbly, said Chandidas, Radha has fallen in Krishna's trap. And this is a good place to stop. I don't know that I can take questions from out there. You'd probably have to type it in. Anything coming in, Durga? No. Okay. Well, then, let me give you some announcements. Tomorrow, in the spirit of embracing change, we're going to have a change. Instead of embracing change, we are going to have a lecture on why Swami Vivekananda matters. On Tuesday, we will be celebrating Swami Vivekananda's Puja, which is a full-day, wonderful day. It will begin at 7 a.m. here with a reading of the Katha Upanishad while we serve Swamiji's breakfast. And then the puja itself will start at 11 a.m. And then the home of fire will be at 12:30 and prasad after that. So if you're able to come here, that will be grand. And let's see, is there anything else? A week from today, we will again have a reading of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And Wednesday, we will have a reading of Glimpses of a Great Soul, a portrait of Swami Sardananda. Okay, and I will conclude with a chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Okay, thank you all for joining, one way or the other. Stay well, stay warm.